Right, I'm going to start this review the way all reviews should start, and that's with the answer. After several months with the AOC AGON PRO AG276UZD, yes, you should buy this monitor, and I'll spend the next 8 to 10 minutes explaining exactly why, including 2 things you need to know before you pull that trigger to purchase. This is a 26.5-inch 4K 240Hz QD-OLED display. It has a display port of 2.1, 2 HDMIs of 2.1, a USB-C with 65 watts of power delivery, and a built-in KVM switch, and it costs around £600 to £700. That should not be possible, and let's get into it. To understand why this monitor is interesting, you need to know a bit of context about where the OLED monitor market is right now. A year ago, if you wanted a 4K OLED in the same panel, you'd be spending well over £1,000. But now, thanks to Samsung's Display's 4th generation QD-OLED panels, that combination has come down hard. The closest competitor using the same underlying panel is Asus ROG Strix, which sits closer to £850, where AOC has undercut them by £150. The question is, what, if anything, did they give up to get there? Starting with build quality, and I want to be clear here because AGON Pro is AOC's top tier line and generally shows. The base is that signature asymmetric AGON shape, a polygon where every side is different length. It looks distinctive and unusual, which you either love or you find a little bit too much. But for me, it is great. I love seeing something different. It is solid and there is absolutely no wobble whatsoever. There's a great base plate to put on a wireless charger or to store your latest device that you're trying and testing out. The stand gives you 130mm of height adjustment, full tilt, swivel, and it pivots 90 degrees into a portrait mode. So if you want to, it is there and it can be ergonomic and designed to help fit into your home office, at work, or wherever you're going to use this monitor, or if it's for a child in their gaming setup. So the panel itself is a 3-sided frameless design. The screen surface is where it gets a little interesting. It has an anti-reflective coating, and with that, AOC calls a glossy finishing, which means that it's not pure matte like some OLED monitors, and it's not pure gloss either. So in practice, reflections are manageable without being aggressively matte-like in some IPS panels. At the back of your monitor, you'll find a strip of LED lighting, the signature AGON hexagon shape, which ties in with the whole design together nicely, and that RGB lighting can be controlled within your menu options. Let's talk about the panel, because this is where this monitor generally earns its price tag. This is the 4th generation of QD-OLED from Samsung Display. It covers 99.3% of the DCI P3 and 96.5% of Adobe RGB. Factory calibration puts delta E below 2, which means colors are accurate straight out of the box, which means you don't need to calibrate this monitor yourself. In SDR, the image is exceptional. Detail, depth, clarity, and then the 166 pixels per inch density at this screen size means everything looks razor sharp. Text is clear and easy to read. Fine detail in games and photo holds up beautifully. It's been a really enjoyable experience to use when using every day, creating scripts for videos, a bit like this video I'm reading for now, and then also when I'm photo editing with the Adobe Suite, and then when it moves on to video creation in Final Cut Pro, as well as then sitting back and enjoy gaming on the PlayStation 5 and Xbox Series X, and also the Nintendo Switch 2. There's an sRGB illumination mode in the on-screen display for anyone doing creative work who needs web accurate colors, which is a really useful addition. So moving on to HDR, and this is where the QD-OLED technology has an inherent advantage and where this specific monitor is also slightly nuanced. This screen is a VESA DisplayHDR True Black 400 certified, which means it is a more meaningful certification than a standard HDR 400. True blacks mean the blacks are actually black, not dark grey, because every pixel is its own light source and the contrast is effectively infinite. So peak brightness hits 1000 nits for every small highlights and about 3% of the screen, and 450 nits for a 10% window in a dark room. HDR content is genuinely jaw-dropping and it needs to be seen. Now, that nuance I mentioned, reviewers at PC Monitors and Kit Guru both noted that this monitor is slightly conservative when brightening up HDR HDR content compared to some rivals, and there can be some underuse of color gamut under HDR by default. Neither is a deal breaker, and both are largely resolved by running Windows HDR calibration tool, which takes about 2 minutes and can be ran on day one and recommended. Right, gaming. This is after all what the AGON Pro line is built for. 240Hz, 0.03 milliseconds response time, grey to grey, G-Sync compatible, adaptive sync from 48 to 240Hz. So in practice, there is no ghosting. None. The QD-OLED panel don't need overdrive in the way that LCD panels do. The pixel switch that fast is essentially instantaneous, which means that fast-paced games look clean and sharp in a way that even high-end IPS panels can't fully match. So input lag measures around 2 milliseconds. In any real-world scenario, competitive players will have nothing to complain about there. With a DisplayPort 2.1 connection, it is generally useful here. It's the only monitor at this price point that includes the UHBR20, which means full bandwidth for 4K at 240Hz with no compression. If you are running the current generation NVIDIA or AMD card, you're getting the signal feed in cleanly. So one honest note on resolution and frame rate: to actually push the high frame rates at 4K in demanding AAA titles, you're going to want an RTX 4080 or better, or an RX 7090. So it depends what you want to use. Obviously, I do a lot of console gaming, but if you're doing PC gaming, those are the cards that you want to use with this monitor. So connectivity on this monitor is generally really impressive, and I like that for this price point. So you get one DisplayPort 2.1 with that feature of the UHBR20. That's the highest current DisplayPort standard. Two HDMI 2.1 ports, so you can have your gaming PC and console plugged in simultaneously. USB-C with 65 watts of power delivery, enough to run most laptops, including my MacBook Pro. Two USB-A downstream ports and a 3.5mm headphone jack. There's a nice headphone rest as well built into the column. The built-in KVM switch is underrated. It lets you share one keyboard and mouse between two computers through the same monitor. So if you have a work laptop and a gaming PC on the same desk, you can switch between them without having extra hardware. So one button on your on-screen display and you switch between so easily, and you can get on with your work. Once you're finished, you're able to game. There's also built-in 5-watt speakers. They work. They're not remarkable, but if you're using them for background content or calls, they're fine. For gaming or music, you'll want to use your headphones or dedicated speakers. The OSD is AOC's AGON menu. Vertical format, well organized. You can also control everything via AOC's G menu software if you prefer doing that from your desktop. Let's talk about OLED burn-in, because I know it's the thing that stops people from pulling the trigger, and I want to give you generally some useful answers here. Burn-in is a real thing with OLED technology, but a gaming monitor used for dynamic content, games, video, varied desktop use, the practical risk is low. AOC has built this monitor with a graphene cooling technology, which keeps the panel running at a lower temperatures than standard OLEDs, directly reducing the conditions that cause burn-in. The on-screen display includes a pixel orbiting automatic pixel refresh cycles, logo dimming, taskbar dimming, and static content detection. So it will let you know if something's been static for too long. And critically, AOC backs this with a 3-year warranty that specifically covers OLED burn-in. That's rare. Most manufacturers either don't cover it or they bury it in the conditions. AOC's coverage is explicit, provided that you follow the screen maintenance guidance, which takes about 30 seconds to read. So use the built-in tools, don't leave a static image on the screen for hours, and you are covered. If anything does happen, that's a reasonable situation for a monitor at this price point. So, verdict time. And I want to be specific here because not every monitor is right for everyone. If you're a gamer with a powerful GPU who wants the best possible image quality and smoothness in a single display, and you don't want to spend over £1,000 to get it, this monitor is the strongest option on the market right now. Full stop. If you're a content creator who also games, the color accuracy, the wide gamut coverage, the USB-C connectivity, the KVM switch, this is genuinely a versatile display that works hard on both sides of that workflow. So for myself, perfect. I create content using Final Cut Pro, Adobe Suite, and then also gaming via my consoles, and hopefully one day PC gaming. Maybe not the highest graphics card, but this is the perfect monitor. So the two things to be aware of: one, HDR is best after running the Windows HDR calibration tool. Two, you need a current gen GPU to get the most out of this 4K 240Hz combination in demanding AAA titles. Neither of those are deal breakers, they're just things that you may need to know. Around £600 to £700 for a 4K QD-OLED monitor with a DisplayPort 2.1, dual HDMI 2.1 ports, USB-C at 65 watts, KVM, a 3-year OLED warranty, and a factory calibrated panel. This is exceptional value for money. Kit Guru gave it 8 out of 10. I think that's fair, and possibly I would put it closer to 9 out of 10 or 10 out of 10 for what you're getting for your money. So in the video description, you will find a link to AOC and a link to the best price that I could find at this point of recording. If you've got any questions, drop them in the comments and I'll be working through them this week. Thanks for watching. If this was helpful, a subscribe helps massively. See you in my next video. Bye for now.